The presumption of innocence is a fantasy in this country. People are supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Even that presupposes guilt. It should be innocent unless proven guilty. There's a big difference. Judges during jury trials in criminal cases will say to the jurors, do not come to a decision until you have heard all of the evidence. But most people, the minute that they hear somebody has been accused of something, assume that they are guilty of it. Think about it. You watch the news and they say the suspect is in custody after one of these mass shootings, and you say, oh, thank God they caught the person, right? We all do it. We are all guilty of this. The fact is, that person is just a suspect. In order for the police to arrest someone, they just need to believe that they probably committed the crime. In a criminal conviction, the prosecution has to prove every single element of every single offense beyond a reasonable doubt. That means if there is any doubt, any reasonable doubt as to whether or not all of these elements have been met, then that person should be found not guilty. But we are so quick to pass judgment on people, and this is something that we do. Even the most religious people who are not supposed to judge have a tendency to jump to conclusions before they've heard both sides of the story. In a criminal case, you have the right to be presumed innocent and have the government prove its case beyond a reasonable doubt. You have a right to testify or remain silent, and if you remain silent, that cannot be used against you. You have a right to confront the witnesses against you. So that means they sit in the witness stand and they testify, and they have to see you sitting there. They have to testify in front of you, and then your lawyer gets to cross-examine them. You get to subpoena witnesses to your defense. You get to subpoena documents or anything that you need to present to the jury to prove your side of the case. And sure, a jury, after they hear the prosecution's case, is probably going to lean towards convicting. But once they hear the defense side of the case, it is very likely that they will say, well, I don't know what happened. Because you weren't there, of course you don't know what happened. Unless there is a video of the incident or some absolutely irrefutable evidence that this occurred, you have to wait till you hear the defense's case in every situation. A friend of mine has recently been accused of sexual assault against a couple of women. He is not charged criminally. The people who have not spoken with him have adjudged him guilty. They have written him off. They have said what he did was disgusting and that these accusers are victims. The people that have spoken with him and heard his side of the story are standing with him. Nobody is judging him. The people who were allegedly assaulted are accusing them of something so minor that it is an embarrassment to actual victims. And to say that they've suffered trauma as a result of the conduct also is an insult to people who have truly suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, people who repeatedly molested as children, people who were locked in a closet, people who went to war. Those are people that have post-traumatic stress syndrome, not somebody who was inadvertently groped by a former friend. Also, the punishment has to meet the crime. So if somebody does something really minor, then the punishment should be appropriate for the crime. So people say to me all the time, I was even at a doctor's office the other day. He was an orthopedic surgeon. He went to Stanford University, obviously a very brilliant man. And he said, how do you deal with defending guilty people? And I said, you know, most of my clients are guilty and most of my clients plead guilty. The thing is to get them the most appropriate sentence given all of the circumstances, given who this person is and why and how this incident came about. Perhaps there was a drug addiction. Perhaps this was somebody who was actually abused and is actually suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. There are reasons why people do things. People do not commit crimes in a vacuum. So it is my job to make sure that the judge and the prosecution and everyone involved knows everything that is really important for them to know about this individual before they pass judgment, before they impose a sentence. And a sentence should be reasonable. It should show respect for the law, but it should reflect the seriousness of the offense. And if the offense is minor, then the punishment should be minor. But somebody should not be banished because of an inadvertent act, or an act that could actually easily be disputed if people would only listen to both sides of the story. So yeah, I defend guilty people all the time. They don't tell me that they're innocent. They tell me that they're guilty, and they just want me to do the best that I can for them under the circumstances. The people that are innocent go to trial, and that's where the hard work comes in, and that is the scariest case, because those people have their lives in my hands. All of my clients do, but the people that are innocent are counting on me to make sure that the jury understands that they are, in fact, innocent. I don't have to prove that they're innocent, but I can point out that the prosecution has not proven the case beyond a reasonable doubt, or that there is a reason to doubt that this person is guilty. It's a very complex system, but we are all so quick to judge. You see a car pulled over by a cop on the side of the road, you're going to say, I wonder how fast they were going, or I wonder what they did. But we do assume the worst about each other, and we need to be more forgiving. We need to be more accepting, and we need to be willing to listen to both sides of a story. Please.